It all started on a quiet Saturday morning, the kind where the sun paints golden lines across the neighborhood lawns. Daniel had just parked his old but well-kept pickup truck in his driveway when he noticed something odd. From across the street, his HOA president, Mrs. Karen Wilkins, stood with her arms crossed, staring directly at him. Her sharp eyes scanned the truck like it was an intruder instead of a vehicle. Neighbors mowing lawns barely noticed, but Daniel felt her stare like a weight pressing on his shoulders. Karen had always been vocal about her dislike for eyesores in the neighborhood, but Daniel's truck was spotless, freshly washed, polished chrome, and even registered in perfect standing. Still, something about the way she scribbled into her little HOA notebook sent a shiver down his spine. Later that evening, while relaxing with his dog on the porch, Daniel spotted her again. Only this time, she wasn't just watching, she was pacing around, eyeing his driveway, her lips moving like she was planning something. He brushed it off, but deep down, a knot of unease began to form. What could she possibly be scheming now? The next morning, Daniel heard a faint metallic rattle outside. Curious, he stepped quietly to the window. To his shock, Karen was standing next to his truck, fiddling with the driver's side door. She had something in her hand, a shiny set of master keys. Daniel's heart pounded. She was actually trying to open his truck. He rushed outside. "What on earth are you doing?" he demanded. Karen didn't even flinch. Instead, she replied coldly, "This vehicle isn't registered to this neighborhood. I'm checking if it's abandoned." Daniel's jaw dropped. "That's my truck. I drive it every day." He shot back, but Karen stubbornly jiggled her fake key in the lock. Of course, the lock didn't budge. His truck wasn't going anywhere. Embarrassed but not defeated, Karen stepped back and scribbled furiously in her notebook. "I'll be filing a violation report," she snapped. But Daniel wasn't intimidated. Something told him this wasn't the end. Karen wasn't just going to walk away quietly. By midday, Daniel thought the drama was over. But then, the sound of sirens pierced the calm afternoon. 2 police cars rolled into the cul-de-sac, lights flashing. And who stood proudly next to them? Karen waving her hands dramatically like she had just solved a crime. Daniel stepped outside to find the officers already walking toward him. "Sir, we received a report that you may be in possession of a stolen vehicle," one officer said carefully. Karen smirked, arms crossed in triumph. "Yes, officer, I caught him red-handed. His so-called truck doesn't belong to him. My HOA rules don't allow unregistered junk here." Neighbors gathered on lawns, whispering. Daniel's face burned, but instead of panicking, he stood tall. "Officers," he said calmly, "would you like to see my registration?" Karen's smirk faltered. The moment of truth had arrived. Daniel walked inside, retrieved a neatly folded envelope, and handed it to the officers. Inside were the truck's registration, insurance papers, and even proof of purchase. Every document was current and spotless. The officer's brows furrowed as he flipped through the paperwork. Karen, however, wasn't done with her performance. "That's fake," she yelled, her voice sharp enough to cut through the summer air. "I've been president of this HOA for 10 years, and I know a fraudulent document when I see one." The officer shot her a skeptical look. "Ma'am, this paperwork checks out." But Karen doubled down. "Check his keys. Check the VIN. I bet he forged it all." She was frantic now, pacing in her heels as the neighbors' whispers grew louder. Daniel stayed silent, confident in the truth. He knew the harder Karen pushed, the worse she'd make herself look. One officer inspected the VIN number on the truck and matched it with the paperwork. Everything aligned perfectly. Karen, growing desperate, grabbed her so-called master key again and held it up. "Then explain this," she shouted. "If this isn't stolen, why won't my key open it?" The officer blinked. "Ma'am, why would your key open his truck?" The crowd chuckled. Karen's face flushed bright red, realizing how ridiculous she sounded. But she still tried to twist the narrative. "I was only protecting our neighborhood," she snapped, glaring at Daniel as if he was the villain. Daniel folded his arms. "Protecting it from what? My legally owned truck? Or your own obsession with control?" The words hung in the air like a heavy stone. The tide was turning, and everyone could feel it. The police officers exchanged glances. One finally turned to Karen. "Ma'am, it seems you filed a false report. That's a serious issue." Karen's jaw dropped. "What? No. I was just trying to enforce HOA standards," she stammered. But the officer didn't budge. Enforcing rules doesn't give you the right to accuse someone of theft without evidence. Daniel's neighbors, who had always feared Karen's wrath, now whispered more boldly. Some even shook their heads in disapproval. For years, she had bullied homeowners with fines, notices, and threats. But today, her grip on the community was slipping through her fingers. Karen raised her voice one last time. "You don't understand. I run this neighborhood," she declared. The officer calmly replied, "Not anymore, ma'am." With every eye on her, Karen's confidence shattered. The police officer pulled out his notepad. "Ma'am, you're under investigation for filing a false police report and attempted vehicle tampering." The crowd gasped. Karen's hands shook as the officers guided her toward the patrol car. Daniel stood quietly beside his truck, his loyal dog at his feet. Relief washed over him as the neighborhood finally saw the truth. For once, the bully wasn't the victor. The bully was in cuffs. As the patrol car pulled away, Daniel glanced at his truck and then at the neighbors who now looked at him with respect. Justice had spoken louder than Karen's lies. And her so-called master key had unlocked nothing but her downfall, and that was the final twist in this unbelievable HOA story. If you loved the drama, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment sharing your thoughts. It really helps this channel grow.